Welcome, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your producer and host of the show, Dr. Lino Martinez. This is your motivational podcast of people's incredible journeys. Oh yeah, let's do this. Welcome back, everybody, to the A Little Less Fear podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lino Martinez. Today, I would love to welcome Rachel Lavin, is a published author of the Doughnut Diaries, professional speaker and body love educator, certified personal trainer, and a certified health coach. Welcome to the A Little Less Fear podcast, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Lino, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
This is really incredible. I love body love. I love body positive health and fitness. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners are going to be really interested in this as well, because this is huge in a lot of people's lives. And although a lot of people may not admit it, this is probably one of the biggest insecurities that we'll have in our entire human life. So I'm curious to see what brought you to where you're at today. What brought you to your current passion?
Absolutely. It is a very personal thing for me. I spent 40 plus years of my life feeling like I did not have the right body. I just wasn't born with the right body. I felt betrayed by it a lot. I felt angry at it a lot. And I did, things to my body like restrictive dieting. I took diet supplements. I over-exercised. Then I would get exhausted. And it's just, I could probably spend the entire hour on the negative, right? And tell you all the things that I didn't love about my body. But when I turned 40, something just happened. And I just said, I don't want this feeling anymore. I want to be happy. But I think I had kind of started and stopped so many times that I had realized at that moment that it couldn't just be like wishing on a star. I had to do some serious work, and I had to get deep, and I had to get raw, and I had to deal with all the things that were traumatizing me, that was preventing me from loving myself. And so that's what I've done.
So thanks for sharing that. So you had to go deep and you had to go raw. Do you mind talking about some of this?
Not at all, please.
What's considered deep and what's considered raw for you?
I just started kind of focusing on my patterns. What am I doing? What am I doing that's making me feel empty? That's making me feel sad? That's making me feel unlovable? And at the same time, why can't I find love? It was always a constant barrage of just negativity and hanging on to the wrong thing or the wrong person because it was just a little glimmer of what I thought I needed. And what I really needed was to love Rachel. And I had to let go of who I thought that I was supposed to be and just kind of be okay with the process, be okay with that I wasn't going to be okay for a while, and kind of realize that I had to start over. And I did that not only I went to therapy. I read some amazing books. I did some journaling. I did all the things, and I tried things. Some fit, some didn't. But I just kind of started being really honest with myself. And the one thing that I say all the time is I had to start being kind to myself. And that was one thing I was not doing.
I love that. You had to start being kind to yourself. What does that look like?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it started with something very simple. It seems very simple, but I'm sure your listeners will understand how hard it really is to start talking nice about yourself to yourself.
Yes.
And one thing that I had to recognize that I was looking outside of Rachel for validation. I was always putting my power in someone else's hand by saying, how do I look? Am I fat? I know I'm fat. Don't look at me. I just was giving my power away constantly and giving away love for myself away all the time because I just didn't know what to do with it. And so those two things, I almost had to stop cold turkey and just say, no, I'm not going to ask anyone's opinion about Rachel anymore. I'm just not going to do it. And so those things that I was expecting other people to do for me, I started to do those for myself.
Excellent. And that's the beginning of a self-love journey.
Yeah.
So when you started to do these things for yourself, I can imagine it wasn't overnight. What were some of the major things that you did for yourself that catapulted you into your new self?
Speaking kindly to myself was number one, because I mean, I'm sure anyone who's ever experienced a poor body image or low self-esteem knows the constant and frankly awful things that you say to yourself and think to yourself. So I had to kind of make myself aware of that. Like, let's just use you're fat. And I would say, no, I'm beautiful. I'm not fat. I'm safe right now. Whatever I needed to kind of get myself soothed. My therapist taught me that expression, and I love it because it's so true. You have to learn to self-soothe yourself when those things happen. And so I started doing that. And the other thing I really, I lived in New York City at the time of this beautiful journey. And I started taking myself out on dates and like being able to be alone with myself and do things by myself, which I don't know if people understand how empowering that is. To be able to go somewhere and go to a comedy show or go to a restaurant or go to a play by yourself. Yeah. Wow. I mean, if you can stand yourself, you can stand anybody else.
Yeah. Definitely. You know what? That actually totally reminds me of when my mother was married for 48 years and my father and my mother almost at the end of their divorce. But one of the things that she finally realized is when she was going to be okay was when she started doing things by herself. And she was like, wow, I can go to a restaurant by myself and enjoy a margarita by myself. And just all these tiny little things are really you learning how to love your inner being, your own light. And that's when people start noticing you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I would agree with that 100%.
And so once you started being kind to yourself, what kind of shifts did you notice? What was changing around you?
Oh my God. The first thing I noticed was just to be able to have a conversation with another human being and let it be about something other than my physical body. How much I was actually opening my mind and learning new things. It was crazy. It was crazy. And being able to be with another person and just kind of sitting there in a comfortable silence. I didn't know how to do that before. But when you're comfortable with yourself, you don't need to fill space with outside things anymore. And I started realizing that there were things that were in my life that I just didn't need anymore. And that was also pretty liberating. And I just started experiencing the world. I went and I started traveling. I started making new friends. And like I said, if I wanted to do something, I didn't not do it because I didn't have someone else to do it with or because I wasn't in a relationship. And that for me was such a kind of eye-opening and jaw-dropping and just enlightening all in itself, because I had been around people my whole life. Even when I think internally I knew I needed to be alone to like refresh, I ignored those signals and I was constantly around people. So to have some like peace and quiet was so awesome.
So you're saying that even before it was hard for you to kind of have some alone time, some quiet time for yourself, you kind of always surrounded yourself around a lot of people.
Yeah.
As you're saying that, I'm feeling it's because there was probably a lot of internal noise. And so to not be in that, to be in a quiet space would mean that you would have to face that internal noise.
I would agree with that 100%. Yeah, for sure.
And so now you're being kind to yourself and now you're able to have this time to yourself. But what was it like when you're being more kind to yourself, traveling and meeting new people, when you did have some alone time and I mean, how was that okay? What did that feel like to you?
I mean, it felt scary at first, but I did not know then that I know now that I am an introvert with extrovert qualities. So I actually really need to have some alone time where I
Sure.
can rest and recuperate and re-energize myself. Because I used to be like really snappy and be tired all the time. And I didn't realize it was just because my energy was so depleted.
Yeah,
And learning that about yourself, I think, is very valuable for all of us. I mean, we need to know that.
absolutely. And then that allows you to give yourself the permission to have a chill day, where
Oh
a
my
lot of us
God.
don't. I'm gonna admit I hardly have chill days, and I'm in that process now where it's like it's so I don't know what to do with myself sometimes, Rachel, when I have a day off. I'm like, what do I do? You know, I'm so used to being on the go, 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 and it's kind of like, oh man, what do I do? What do I do? So what do you do in those days? Do you ever hit times like that where what do I do with my time, or do you kind of
Yeah.
just know now what to do on your downtime?
Yeah. Sunday is my day either to spend with my boyfriend or it's my day to just spend doing something I want to do without other people. Now, do I absolutely have this rule where I don't do anything on Sunday, like go to brunch with my girlfriends? Of course not, if I want to do it. But I have no problem saying no now. And I think that that is such an energy saver. And I
Yeah,
think, it's very funny how just learn to say no. And I think when you're kind of a people pleaser and you don't really know yourself, all you want to do is just say yes. You just yes, 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 yes.
yeah.
And that first time that I said no to something, I was like, whoo. but yeah, now it's like off the list. Nope, nope, nope. No, thank you. No, next time. And I have no problem with it.
That's beautiful. And that's because of you being kind to yourself, there's no issues in putting boundaries to protect your energy.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the Doughnut Diaries. What an incredible, incredible title. I love it. Tell us about the Doughnut Diaries and how it came to be.
Absolutely. Well, my book is what we've been discussing. It's my personal story of, going through the constant dieting, constant restriction, up and down in my body weight. I mean, just telling people my story and then kind of telling them how I came out the other side and how I empower myself and how I accept and love myself. And my main goal when I wrote my book was that I really wanted to people. I know now that the longer I've been in this space, it's not just women, it's men. But at the time, I wrote it for women because I know how much we all feel alone in this place. And I want to start breaking down those barriers because it doesn't matter how successful you are, how beautiful you are, how thin, how fat, whatever word you are going to use to describe someone, none of that derails your value as a human being. And we
Right.
should all love and support each other no matter what our choices are and no matter what our bodies look like. And I think we've lived in this tiny, stupid bubble of society that you have to be 34, 24, or 36 if you're a woman. And if you're a man, you got to have big muscles and a chiseled jaw and you have to have a deep voice. I mean, all these things that we've lived by regarding men and
Yeah.
women for so long. And it's just so tired. It's tired and we need to move on.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, it's tired, it's exhausting. And you start to lose your identity when you're identifying with all these other constructs that society say you should be a certain way. It's like, wait, hang
Yes.
on a minute. Well, how should I be? Who am I? You start
Yeah,
saying, hang on a minute. Well, who am I?
absolutely. Yes.
So take us through the Doughnut Diaries. So does it start from like your childhood, or does it start from like the time that you started your actual the start being kind to yourself, giving yourself kinder words? How does the book begin? And what is how take
It
us through it?
starts with me talking about like every chapter is like a segment of my life. So chapter one is all about my food, my relationship with food, my dieting, and then movement and recovery, turning 40, and then finally kind of just feeling like I'm whole. And I tell stories in it. I tell, some are negative, some are positive, but I mean, I'm cultivating a picture here so you can kind of see what I went through to what I do now. And the Doughnut Diaries, I really kind of, the title came to me pretty quickly because I'm sure as a human being, we all have that one food in our world that we think is like going to make you so fat, you can never eat it again, even if you love it. And for me, that was donuts, because I had such fond memories when I was growing up, like a donut with my uncle. He would take me to the donut shop and we would get a donut and it would just be fun. And then you grow up and people tell you, well, you can't eat donuts because they're going to make you fat. And you internalize that and you believe that. And my point of the title is because we all do that. We all suffocate our joy because we think we have to be a certain thing. Mm-hmm. And so I love your question and I love to explain it because I think for me, it's more than a title. It's kind of a message.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody reads your book for the first time, what's the biggest message, the biggest takeaway from your book?
That you're not alone. That you're not alone. And hopefully, I mean, it's not a workout program. It's not a diet. It's not a meal plan. It's nothing like that. It is my story. I'm sharing it with you. Like we're on, like we're friends. And I'm hoping that you leave after reading my story inspired that you can do it too. You can love yourself as well.
I love that message. We all need to love ourselves a little more.
A lot more. A
lot more. Yeah, exactly. And so you're also a personal trainer and a health coach.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I hold those certifications, but since moving to Greenville, South Carolina in 2022, I haven't really pursued that as much because I'm really trying to kind of pursue my book and get my message out there. And I really love the idea of doing speaking engagements. So that's what I'm kind of working on right now.
Awesome. And when you're working on or your thoughts of speaking engagement, is it basically telling your story to inspire other women or just other men and women altogether? Like just inspire the world.
Like I said, now that I've been in this space for a couple of years, I realize that men are feeling this way too. And I don't want to exclude them. I just, I think that I have to really be honest with my audience that I'm not a therapist. This is a personal journey for me. I want to share my experience and share with you how I have healed myself and how I continue to heal myself. And from a very honest place. Like for instance, the other day I had a moment where I was like, I don't want to be in this body. And I respect those moments because I felt that way about myself for over 40 years. So for me to expect, 10 years, 5 years for that to go away, I think that's a little unrealistic. But what I can tell people now is that when I have those moments that I can self-soothe myself and accept that it's a moment and not let it ruin my day or not let it derail everything that I've done so far.
Mm-hmm. That's so important because a lot of people think, including myself, being on healing journeys, that it's going to be linear. Okay, once I'm healed, I'm healed. It's like, well, you're going to come back sometimes. There's going to be a reminder of something, and that's okay as well. Yeah. Because healing is not linear. It's not a one-way street.
Yes, and I think that to your point, we have parts of us that we think we've healed and we haven't. And so when you have to revisit it, it's just an opportunity for you to fully heal from it. So I don't get upset with those moments anymore because I'm like, okay, you're still stuck in there somewhere. Let's free you.
And how do you start to free that stubborn stuckness?
Well, when I was talking to you and I kept saying moment because I want your listeners to understand that instead of it being something that the moment I wake up my head starts going until the moment I go to sleep. So like imagine 15 hours of constant negativity about myself. So that's why I'm so grateful that they're moments now, and they don't take over my life. They don't rule my world, and they definitely don't ruin my day anymore. Do I still feel them like in my soul? For sure. Of course. Yes. Have there been days in this journey where I've cried about the size of my body? Yes. But I'm able to say that I love myself with all my heart. And I'm able to say that I know that it's going to be okay. And I'm going to be able to have a new day tomorrow, and we're going to start over.
I love that. There's always light at the end, right? No matter what, there's going to be some light, or at least a peak of a light.
A sliver.
Yeah, at least. So what kind of feedback are you getting from people?
I mean, listen, every time I have a conversation with another person about this, it's like instant knowing. But it is interesting because I think I'm coming at it with such a raw honesty that a lot of people are still so inserted into their belief system that some people just aren't ready yet. And that's okay. That is totally cool. I'm not here to push you or tell you that you're never going to find happiness if you don't do it my way, because that's just not true. But that's why I'm creating some workshops to take out into not only my community, but hopefully, a little bit further. Our relationship as human beings with food is so tainted, and we almost need to start from scratch. And so I love to just kind of focus on that. Again, not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, but I've been in the fitness and wellness industry for over 20 years, so I know a little bit.
Oh yeah, a lot of bit. And what about like as far as different age groups? Do you feel that the way people feel about their body differs depending on generations or age groups, like teens versus 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, or do you feel that it's the same all around?
Oh wow, that's a great question. I definitely have been dealing with women of all ages, and I know that it's there. It might be to different extremes depending on depending on how old you are. I know ladies that are younger, of the social media age, they're inundated with body stuff all day, every day. So I think it's a little harder, but there's 80-year-old women I still hear talk about their body like, oh, I can't eat that. I can't, oh, I got, so it is no matter what. I think it's no matter how old you are.
Oh man, you just reminded me. I remember my grandmother. I mean, she's passed on already, but when she was like in her 80s, she was like, oh, I can't eat that because I'll get fat. And I'm like, grandma, like she's almost 90 and she's still thinking like this. So yeah, you're right. Oh my goodness. Like it goes up until it's so ingrained.
Yeah.
So how does someone start to allow themselves to enjoy a donut? How about that?
I think that you have to really be honest with yourself, and let's talk about why do you feel this way about said donut? Well, because someone told you that you can't eat one, or because whatever the reason. And I do find it interesting, not only for my own story, but for other women. It's like you can be told something just one time about your body, just one time, and you accept it as truth and you build your entire foundation on that. Oof. Or you can be told by someone every day for your whole life about your body, and it still has the same effect. It's like our brains are so crazy in that way that I probably shouldn't have said that. Sorry. But
that's okay.
Our brains are just so, I don't know.
Hyper wired.
Thank you. So I think that if you're open to healing your relationship with food and learning what foods make you feel good, and what I mean by that is food is your energy source. If you want to really simplify what food is, it is gas for your car. And in this day of hybrids and electric cars, food is the plug for your car, okay? It makes your car go. So your vessel, your body needs food. So it's really best if you figure out what foods work best for you. And yes, that is going to take a little research, it's going to take a little work, and it's going to take a little bit of paying attention to food. So here's a perfect example. If I eat anything with like in the pepper family, like green peppers, red peppers, it causes me to have a stomach ache and I get crampy. I just don't do well with those types of foods. But I can eat a whole rainbow of other vegetables that make me feel great. They make me feel energized. They make me feel full. They make me feel like I could go and work for a couple more hours or whatever. So that's what I mean when it's important to understand what foods work best for you. And a lot of people are stuck in this, I only eat this, right? And they have like 3 things that they eat because they insist that it's healthy and they love it. Okay, so if you want to live on kale, oatmeal, and protein shakes, great. But you are missing out on so much life and so many nutrients. I just don't think people understand that. What food is. It's literally, it's
Fuel.
the vitamin shop. That's what food is.
Yeah, right. It is the vitamin shop.
Yeah.
And so in discovering what's good for someone's I guess own individual vehicle, it'd be a great idea to experiment with different foods and see how you feel afterwards. See how your body feels. Does your stomach hurt? Do you feel tired? Do you feel weak? Do you feel excited? Do you feel hyper? Do you feel more awake? Do you feel stronger? Do you feel like running a marathon? So just kind of basically keeping a diary on the way certain foods make you feel.
You can do that, but it's actually a really quick process. You know, if you just take a note, whether it be physically or mentally, okay, so I ate, let's say I ate a steak with broccoli and mushrooms last night, and I didn't feel great. Well, now you know 3 things that you have to test, right?
Oh.
So you have to eat them separately. So you have to eat red meat, you have to eat mushrooms, and then you have to eat broccoli and see if that feeling comes back. Let's just say it's the mushrooms that do it to you.
Okay.
That's just because I hate mushrooms. So now you know I can't eat mushrooms. But I think a lot of people don't understand too that sometimes when you change the form of how it's prepared, such as let's say raw broccoli versus cooked broccoli is a lot gentler on your system than raw broccoli. Sorry.
Interesting. I didn't think of it like that, Rachel, because I've had some tummy issues myself, and I've just kind of like, oh, I just can't eat all that. But it just makes sense. Kind of break down and see which ingredient in the full meal that you just had disturbs your tummy or makes you feel a certain way, and that way you know what to eliminate.
Yeah.
That's
Some
awesome.
of the tells when your body it doesn't like something is like, you know, a bloating feeling of like inflammation, like your hands like feel like they're stuck because there's so much like inflammation there. Not being able to go to the bathroom is one. Just like feeling like you're going to throw up. So a lot of people think that that's acid reflux, but it's actually a reaction to something you just ate. And so they're compounding it by putting some acid on them, and they're not taking the food out of their diet. And they're thinking, oh God, there's something wrong with me. I don't feel good. Instead of like, oh, I can't eat peppers, and just leave it at that.
Right. Because then if you start identifying with like something making you completely sick, you start eliminating other nutrients, as you were saying earlier, that could be important simply because you're kind of just saying, well, this thing made me sick, so I can't ever eat that whole plate ever again.
Right.
This is awesome. I love this.
Who knew food could be so fascinating, right?
Yeah, it really is actually. And I have noticed that certain foods will make me sleepy and certain foods give me energy and stuff like that. So I try to go back to some of those things. But But there are like the guilty pleasures that people talk about, like ice cream and stuff like that. I find my biggest thing was kind of because I'm lactose intolerant. It's like how much of that is really true, because sometimes I can have certain milks and I'm okay, but then other milks will give me a loose stomach. So like, how do I really know which? And that point, like, how do you know what milk is good for you? And why was it because one milk was organic and one wasn't, or was it because one was skim milk? And it's really challenging when it comes down to stuff like that. Really challenging.
Agreed. But we also have to this is another fascinating point, that you have to, may I ask, are you Puerto Rican? Are you Latin of some kind?
Yeah, Mexican American.
Mexican American. Okay. So you have to kind of think about what your ancestors ate on a daily basis, and then think about what your diet is now. And the perfect example is that Asians have soy in their diet all the time. Their bodies know how to process it, how to break it down. It doesn't affect them in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
We come and we eat soy, and it does all kinds of craziness to our bodies because we weren't raised on it. Now, does that mean that's true for all of us? No, but it does help to kind of understand, what did our ancestors eat? And maybe that is the best way for you to eat.
True. I like that. I didn't think of it that way, actually. What did our ancestors eat? Very interesting, huh? Oh man, my ancestors were tamales and
I was gonna say rice, frijoles.
yeah, exactly. Oh man, I'm hungry now.
I know,
Which is
let's
why
go
we
have
crave
Mexican
certain
food.
things, and it's important to go back to the things that bring you joy.
Yes.
Hmm. So, what's your life like now? Now that you've made this incredible change, how are you living your? How's your everyday life?
My everyday life is amazing. I'm happy. Am I happy all day, every day? I have my moments, but I go to bed grateful as hell. I wake up grateful, and I am just so open to the new place my boyfriend and I have moved to, and the community here. I mean, already in just less than 2 years, I've made some amazing friends. I've made some amazing connections, and being able to take my new business in a direction that I didn't even have time for when I was a full-time trainer in New York. Not that I didn't have a great life in New York. I did. And has it afforded me to change locations? Absolutely. Grateful for it all. But I was a busy trainer. I had 6 days a week of clients, and I had no time to really kind of write my book or write a blog or do the things I'm doing now. So I'm so grateful for that.
You mentioned something really important, that you're grateful every day and you're grateful every night. What does that look like for you? What is gratitude? What goes into your gratitude thoughts?
I just am grateful for the fact that I have this life that I get to live, and I get to help people, and I get to enjoy it. I don't compare myself to anyone. I mean, I would be lying to you if I said I didn't have my moments where I really wish I was here. But then I have to remember, I didn't build my successful training business overnight. What makes me think I'm gonna build my body love, business overnight? I have to be patient. But when you are in an environment, that was a tongue twister, where you're happy, you kind of just, I think, accept going with the flow a little bit more. And that's how I kind of knew I was done with New York, because I was grateful, but the noise was getting to me, and I knew that I wanted to change.
Thanks for sharing that. You just said something when you said your body love business. And as you said that, I thought, well, what does it fully mean to you to love your body? And can anybody learn to love their body, or is it, or are there just some people that just never will or never can?
I would love to think that we all can, but you have to want it. You have to be open to it. You have to do the work. You can't just, and that's why I know you've been using the word body positivity, and that's fine. It's fine. I don't really care that much, but for me, the distinction is, people think body positivity, oh, I'm just going to love my body and that's it. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
No. No. You have to love yourself from the inside out. That's the only way that you
Yeah.
can sustain it.
So to love yourself from the inside out could also, what does that look like? 'Cause right now, as you said that, love yourself, and I'm writing this down. From the inside out, as you said that, the one thing that came to my mind was literally loving your insides, loving your cells, loving your organs, loving your bones, loving your blood, loving your heart, and telling all of these inner organs how much you love them. And that way you can actually get a view on all the inside makeup that's making up the outside. And the love can kind of, I guess, hug you at the very least when you step out of that, being grateful of like everything that you have from the inside out. Does that make sense?
1000%. I love that. I think that needs to go on a t-shirt.
I think all my little cells are dancing right now. They're like, yeah.
Right? Yeah, they're like, yes, give us more love, please.
Yeah, definitely. Wow, this has been really awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Rachel. Where can our viewers, our watchers, and our listeners find the Doughnut Diaries, and how can they get a hold of you if they need to get a hold of you?
Absolutely. My book is available on Amazon. My website and my social media are all under Rachel Lavin Wellness. I honestly am sending an open invitation to all your listeners. Please find me. Please, let's have a conversation. Even if you're not looking for like paid help, I love talking to people about this, and I love having conversations because I know how hard this is. And I know sometimes you just don't know where to start. And that's what I'm here for.
And that is so true. A lot of people just really they don't know where to start or how to start or what are the right thoughts to have and what thoughts are not the right thoughts to have. But I mean, all the thoughts are the right thoughts to have. I mean, if they're yours and they're gonna pretty much push you in the direction that you need to go, and especially if you're giving yourself that availability and that space and time, you're gonna find the answers. I love this. Thank you,
You
Rachel.
know,
This has been amazing.
anyway,
Oh, thank you. Well, that must mean you do too. It takes one to know one.
thank you.
Rachel, it's been awesome. Thanks so much. I wish you and your loved ones and your incredible Body Love company all the best. And the Doughnut Diaries. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Dr. Lino Show, A Little Less Fear podcast. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you can do so by sending me an email at alittlelessfear@gmail.com or through an inquiry from my website at www.alittlelessfear.com, where you will always find information on where to get my book. You can get my book on Amazon and Amazon paperback version, Kindle or Kindle Unlimited. And I also create incredible visual video poetry for people that are interested in marketing or even just to send a personal note to anybody or somebody that you might love. So yeah, check it out. I love it. Poetry is my passion, one of my other passions, aside from doing what I do right now, which is giving you all the motivation that you need to keep growing, to keep motivating people, motivating yourself, and to keep expanding. I love you all so much. Have a blessed day and take care. Rock on.